Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today, let's take a look at the 2025 Chevrolet Corvette C8 ERay. This is a 3LZ convertible. Huge shout out to Carolina Auto Direct for providing this for me today. They're always getting in some very cool inventory. That link is down in the description. This ERay is finished off in Sebring Orange, and the starting MSRPs for the convertibles is right around $115,000. Now this is powered by the 6.2 liter mid-engine V8. It's paired to the 8-speed dual clutch automatic, and combined with the E all-wheel drive system, this pumps out 655 horsepower, 595 pound-feet of torque. With that all-wheel drive system, you get 160 horsepower and 125 pound-feet of torque to the front wheels, combined with that mid-engine, of course, with the normal rear-wheel drive system. This also has a stealth mode. It can go 3 to 4 miles up to 45 miles an hour in just the E system alone. Now this weighs in just shy of 4,000 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, 0 to 100 in 6 seconds. Top speed is 183 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 18.5 gallons. You'll expect to see 16 miles per gallon in the city and 24 out on the highway. Now this also has a wheelbase of 107.2 inches. Its overall length is 184.6. It has a width of 79.9, a height of 48.6, and its ground clearance measures in just over 5 inches. Now with this particular model here, we have a lot of very nice options for this particular spec. You'll notice up front, there's the stripes that run down the hood section there. There's also a dark housing for the LEDs with a very nice design. You'll notice all the gloss black in the lower section, where there's also cameras and sensors and plenty of cutouts to provide cooling to all of the components up front. There's even some ductwork there to provide additional cooling and direct that where it needs to go. Really nice lower section for the front lip too, which is body colored there. And then being a mid-engine vehicle, you get storage space up front. You can use the button on the key fob or the hidden button over on this passenger side. It will release that front storage where you can place in additional items. So even with that all-wheel drive system and the electrical components, you still get that storage space up front, so you can place in some items. This also has a soft close feature, so just lock it into place and it will close the rest of the way for you. Now this model is also equipped with the carbon ceramic brakes, which are body colored for the brake calipers, and then a really nice set of forged gloss black wheels there. This also has body colored side mirrors with a turn signal, and with all of the C8s, the mirrors are actually in a different distance from the A-pillars there, so you get a little bit better visibility out of that passenger side. Now this also has a really nice gloss black lower side skirt there. There's some more trim accents surrounding this very large inlet that goes just past the doors there to provide even more cooling. You'll notice the ERay badge underneath, and then this is the convertible. Now what I have found with the key fob, you can actually lower the top. It doesn't look like you can put it back up from the key fob. So if I just hold on this control here, we can start that process, which is actually pretty quick. And I am just going to continue holding that control in order for it to go down. So it doesn't take all that long, and now you are ready to go. You also have the controls to release the front storage along with the rear storage, and you can remote start this too. So let's go ahead and do that while we're on the key fob. So lock it, double tap it, bring it to life. And it definitely sounds really good. We'll get some revs here in just a little bit. You do have to hold that control in order to shut it off. Now in back for this ERay, you get a very large spoiler. There's also a backup camera, all the parking sensors, LEDs for the lighting with that sequential design for the turn signal. You get a lot more gloss black accents in the lower section too, and that quad tip dual exhaust. Now as we work our way to the rear storage space, you can either use the key fob or the control underneath the first E there, and you can pop open this area here, where you still get a good bit of space. So for a mid-engine vehicle, you have a lot of practicality with this car. The only downside I will say to the convertible is that you really can't see the engine. So this is about all that you have access to be able to see. This also has the soft close for that rear lid too. And then you also have the gloss black accents on both sides just to give it a really cool look, and the stripes that continue their way to the back. Now in order to enter this vehicle, that door handle is located underneath this trim accent where we can open this up, and this model is pretty much orange for the entire interior, which is very cool to see. It works very well. There's Alcantara. You have leather in the lower section with some storage. There's also a release for the front and the rear tucked away down below. You get memory seating adjustments, Bose for the audio. You have the electronic release, and then there's the side mirror adjustments, which are power folding. You get window controls, the top operation, along with the rear window. So you can actually raise and lower this piece here, which I will show. You can have the top up and that window down, which is really neat. E-Ray is also down on the door sill, and then this model has the GT2 seats, which have a great look to them. There's also carbon fiber accents. You get orange seat belts for this model, and the two-tone design with some of the black there. And then as we hop into this, you'll notice that there is a manual release down below, so you can use this if the battery fails and you can't use that control there. And then we're also greeted with a carbon fiber and leather steering wheel. Has a flat bottom design, both on the lower section and the upper section, along with that red stripe. You also get massive carbon fiber paddle shifters too, but let's start this up and take a listen to how this sounds. And coming back to the digital gauge cluster now, you'll notice there's quite a lot of information, and you can go through it further using these arrows on the right side. So you'll notice on the far right of the screen, you can scroll through all of this information here and get through quite a lot. There's even some different displays that you can get into as well. So depending on the driving mode that you are in too, you can have the screen change depending on those modes. So you have a lot of different configurabilities depending on how you're driving and the information that you would like to see. And of course, you have a lot of daily driving information that you can get into your audio, different performance timers and various information like that, even launch control too. And then you have some more daily driving information that you can monitor too. Now also on the right side, you have the heated steering wheel along with voice commands. There's volume in the lower section. And then on the left side, you have your favorites. There's also distance pacing, you have cruise control settings, and the Z mode. Z mode is customizable. That will pop up on the gauge cluster here, where you have so many different adjustments to set this vehicle up to your driving style and how you want it to react. Now there's also the e-brake down below. This model is also equipped with a head-up display. So you have some information that you can go through just depending on what you would like to see. And of course, you can also shut it off too if you don't want to have that front and center. Now you get one air vent along with a lot of leather and orange stitching for the dash. And then with the rest of the infotainment system, you have the home button on that left side where you have a split view here. You can also push on E. You can get into your electric output. You have some dyno charts that you can monitor, even some various data here too, which is interesting. You can pull up your phone when you have that paired, look at your maps, even get into your music, and then you have another home button in that lower section. Now there's also an air vent underneath that. You have a shortcut to the camera system, so you can quickly pull that up and go through these various angles here, just depending on the visibility that you need to see. Traction controls also to the left of that. And then underneath this area here where there's Alcantara, it says mode. So simply just twist on this dial, and this is how you can get into the different driving modes. So you have Tour, you can get into sport mode, there's also track, and if we go back to the left, you can get into a My mode, which is customizable, and there's a weather mode too. So depending on how you're driving and how you want that all-wheel drive system to react, you have those different modes. Now you also have park. You pull this up for reverse, so you have that camera system. Neutral's behind that, then you have drive, and then the manual setting too to use the paddle shifters. Now on this right side, you have all the controls for your climates along with heated and ventilated seats laid out pretty nicely. Once you get used to it, it's very easy to see all of those controls. You have cup holders too. You also have the engine start stop feature located down below along with the battery settings. So you can push on that for charge on so that we can monitor the charging system for the all-wheel drive system. Now you have some more leather along with a little bit of storage and auxiliaries. And then there's also wireless charging with this section right here. You get Corvette Eray on that speaker. And then on the passenger side, push on that middle control, and that gives you access to the glove box. And then up top, you have the rear view mirror along with your garage door buttons up underneath. And then there's some OnStar controls up top, and you get more Alcantara for the sun visors too. And then here's a look at visibility with the top down. As you would expect, you have a lot of visibility over both shoulders, of course. And then let's go ahead and push on this control to operate the top from inside. So that way you can just get a look from this angle how quickly it is. And this model also has Alcantara for the headliner, so it gives it a great look, of course. And then even with the top up, it's still pretty easy to see. And again, you have those 3 windows that you can open and close as needed. So as we get behind the wheel now for the new C8 ERay, one thing I do want to mention that I found out while filming is that this does get the digital rear view mirror. However, it does deactivate when you put the top down. So with the top down, you just have a normal mirror. When you put it back up, you get the functions of having that digital camera system to give you some better visibility. Now with the C8, if you followed our channel, I almost ordered a C8. I did have one on order, I ended up canceling it. But since then, I have been able to drive pretty much all of the C8s minus the ZR1. So I've been in the base Stingray, I've been in the Z06. Now my first time behind the wheel of the ERay. Maybe the ZR1 will happen at some point. I don't think that will happen, but this is pretty neat technology from Chevrolet. So it's nice to see that they're basically making every version of the C8 that you could think possible for whatever the buyer chooses to do with their car. With this ERay here, I think it's really neat to see some of this electric technology into vehicles like this, because like I mentioned earlier, you can go 3 to 4 miles, up to about 45 miles an hour or so with just the EV system. And while that seems like not very significant or not a lot at all, keep in mind that the electric system is just on the front wheels. So if you eliminate that, you're back to a normal Stingray, mid-engine, rear-wheel drive, and that's all you have. But Chevrolet added that electric system up front, which gives you a lot of power, and you have certain situations, maybe this is a loud car. You can put it in stealth mode, leave your driveway, leave your neighborhood, and then fire up the engine, and you're good to go. So I like some of those aspects to it, and you're still not taking away from the front storage space. So you have a very practical, well-rounded supercar, basically, for the Chevrolet Corvette. So with that out of the way, let's give it a little small acceleration. Like I said, I've been able to drive a lot of the C8s. Well, we'll give it a small acceleration here. And it's not all that loud, surprisingly, compared to those revs. If you throw on a different exhaust, it can really open it up. But that was a good acceleration. Obviously, it has a lot more potential than what I will be doing today. But shifts are super quick with that dual clutch, and this would make for a great daily. This is a good grand touring type of sports car that gives you all of this performance where it's basically one car and you're good to go. It's extremely practical too with the amount of storage space that you do get, which is again surprising for a mid-engine car. I own an Audi R8, so I have the storage space up front and that is it. I get a small shelf behind the seats, which this doesn't have, but this also has that trunk in the back too. So you can throw on golf clubs, as Chevrolet likes to advertise. You can put in a lot of items in this car and make it a very fun daily driving vehicle. And then when you're ready, you can have some spirited driving fun with the C8. And we're still in sport mode, second gear. Here we go. And just a mild acceleration. We were able to take the C8 Stingray that we had for a week to the mountains. So if you want to see the performance and some of those driving characteristics, take a look at that separate video. I won't be doing any performance style driving today, but even with the Stingray that we had, basically the base model for the C8, it was incredible. It's a very well handling vehicle and it's super comfortable and smooth too. These GT2 seats hold me well. I think this would be a good daily driving seat. You can go a little bit more comfy if you want. I believe it's the GT1 seats, which are standard. And then you can go to the GT3 seats too, which are a little bit more aggressive. So you have so many different options, coupe, convertible, so many different models to choose from with the Corvette C8 in general. And now that it's been out since 2020, some of the Stingrays are dipping to maybe under 60,000 or so. When they first came out, they had a starting MSRP at $59,900. And most people were spending between $70,000 and $85,000 for a well-equipped model. My vehicle was going to be about $85,000, and that was just almost bare basic GT2, I believe, or 2LT. And so people were spending between that. There were obviously a lot higher trim levels that you could go with. So in today's market now, you have a huge range. Maybe let's just say around $60,000. up to 120, 130 for a well-equipped model, and obviously more if you go with a ZR1 or some of the higher trim levels there. But it's a really fantastic vehicle. I think Chevrolet did a great job with the C8. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of the mid-engine. I do wish it offered a manual, but with the mid-engine too, I think it's a really cool option to go with. And it's Chevy's first model, of course, that has gone to this model here. But that is going to wrap it up for the 2025 C8 ERay. Once again, huge shout out to Carolina Auto Direct for providing this for me today. Take a look at their website, give this video a huge thumbs up, and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.